If South Africa ever writes a textbook called How to Not Do Diplomacy, Cyril Ramaphosa will be on the cover winning every book award possible, smiling, calm, gentle on the cover of the book, holding the smoking gun that he swears he didn't fire. Because once again, at the G20 Social Summit, our president delivered one of those speeches, one of those Ramaphosa speeches that sound powerful at first, until you remember he said absolutely nothing. He just stood up and declared, "We will not be bullied. We will not agree to be bullied by anyone." His words, not mine. And the crowd applauded, like he had just freed Wakanda. But the timing, the context, the optics, bruv. South Africa is currently juggling more crises than a telenovela. And here is the president, your beloved president, lecturing the world about sovereignty like he's leading this thriving futuristic supernation instead of a country begging Eskom not to sneeze and begging USA to trade again. Bro thinks he's China. If irony had legs, it would have moonwalked across the stage better than Michael Jackson ever did. Let's break down why Ramaphosa's big G20 moment wasn't a flex. It was nothing but a diplomatic injury, a PR disaster, and an absolute masterclass in unintentional comedy. The first point I'd like to mention is this "we will not be bullied" thing. The little jab to the US right there, like sneak dissing. He did what Drake does, diss the person without dissing them. This line would have been iconic if everything at home wasn't collapsing like an overloaded game shelf on Black Friday. South Africa is sitting with the Madlanga Commission investigating if drug cartels have infiltrated our government, exposing deep governance rot. Women who are oppressed, feeling the need to wear purple and protest in the streets because they feel unheard, unsafe, and unprotected. They are protesting today, right now. Social unrest brewing. A tanking economy. A currency auditioning for the Zim role of the Zim dollar's cousin. SOEs dying weekly, like Game of Thrones characters and Fortnite battle royales. Load shedding still lurking like a horror movie villain. And in this chaos, South Africa decides this is the moment to stand up in front of global powers and say, "We reject bullying." Bruv, your own citizens feel bullied by the system. Your own public servants feel bullied by inefficiency. Our sisters, our women are literally marching in purple today because they feel bullied by a society that ignores them. This was not the time to give a Captain America Marvel movie speech about national sovereignty like you're gonna go fight Thanos. This was the moment to just sit down, take notes, and maybe ask in the G20 how to be a functional country. Ramaphosa even forgot the first rule of diplomacy. Don't flex when you're the one who needs help. South Africa is not a global power. We're not the US, we're not China, we're not even Brazil. We are the kid in the group project who keeps missing the deadlines but shows up when everyone else in the group has already put their part in the project and we want to be the ones that read it out. And then you say, "I refuse to be disrespected." Sir, respect is earned, and earned through performance, not your recycled ChatGPT speeches. Trump boycotting the summit was not a personal attack on South Africa. He boycotted because of disagreements on policy, G20 discretion, and South Africa lying. Other countries pulled out or half attended because of geopolitical tensions, not because of Ramaphosa. He's not special. There's things happening in South Africa that no one would want to be a part of. But the president reacted like the G20 was a high school party and he was the only one left out of the group chat. He was acting like we're these great nations who have been left out because we're being so oppressed and we will not be bullied by these oppressive people. Absolutely insane. Bullying. Nobody bullied you. They ghosted your summit because it sucks. Nobody is bullying the kid at the back of the class who wasn't even in the fight. Trump and others low-key saved themselves from this. I mean, let's be honest. Y'all like being honest, so let's be honest. Boycotting this G20 summit was a blessing for multiple countries. I'm sure Argentina saw US, China, and Russia skip and they were like, way up, I feel blessed. I'm also leaving. Japan, way up, I feel blessed. Skipping. Who else? Who else skipped? China, way up, I feel blessed. US, way up, I feel blessed. Does anyone remember that song? By Drake and Big Sean? No, you don't. But everyone is like, sir, the South African political situation is not as unstable as you think it is. Everyone must still come. And you know what? They're wrong. Other leaders did the same thing Trump did. If Trump was so wrong, why'd they do it? And they did it quietly, politely, and strategically. Because when a nation is in the middle of judiciary commissions digging up political skeletons, national protests, social tension, governance failures, international criticism, women being oppressed, that is not the environment where world leaders want to take a group photo and say, we stand in solidarity. Let me ask you a question. Would you let your daughter walk in broad daylight in central Joburg alone? Thank you. Imagine the headlines. G20 leaders meet in South Africa amid Eskom and state crisis. Nobody wants that smoke. Boycotting wasn't disrespect. It was self-preservation. They said, get out now, get out of South Africa now, get out while you still can, get out of here. And they listened. SA domestic chaos made Ramaphosa's speech look like cosplay. What, he thinks because he declared GBV a national crisis, we all on his side now? He said that like 6 years ago. South African women were marching in purple not for the first time. They're doing it again because they were not heard. They're doing it now not for the fashion, not for TikTok, but because they feel unheard by their own government. They feel unsafe. They feel unprotected. They feel invisible. Wasn't GBV declared a state of emergency some years ago? He's doing it again. Why is everyone cheering like seals? He's doing it again. He's doing it again. It's the same thing. I don't understand what you're all cheering about. I genuinely don't understand. Bruv, Cyril, your people are begging for protection from violence, inequality, and institutional neglect. Okay? They are literally dressing in one color so that the government can finally notice them. Finally, bother to hear them. How on earth are you shouting about sovereignty abroad while your own citizens can barely get attention at home? This is like lecturing NASA about rocket science while your own kitchen tap is leaking. That's crazy. He missed the larger G20 lesson. Global influence is earned, not declared. Ramaphosa wants South Africa to be respected on the world stage. That's understandable. But respect doesn't come from plain speeches nobody listens to. Everyone was sleeping when you said that speech. They just cooked that clip where you said GBV was a national crisis. Respect comes from a strong system, a strong economy, an honest government, clear governance, a functional energy grid. What's that pillow? Yes, low corruption, domestic unity. And when a nation displays international strength, the world will listen. Okay, did I say that right? All right, perfect. When a nation displays international chaos, the world will smile politely and book the next flight home. South Africa is currently performing a Shakespearean tragedy in real time. Oh, good one. And the president thinks he can fix it with a soundbite. You coming with bars today, huh? That's not how geopolitics works. Buddy, you don't intimidate world powers with falling infrastructure, racism in your nation, jittery markets, commissions airing national laundry, and protests outside your own summit. You earn respect through stability and not speeches. The timing of this is catastrophic, don't you think? It was catastrophic. What do you think? It's catastrophic. The speech didn't land because the timing was completely off. Let's map it. All right, let's map it. Let's give it a map. Back home, imagine a map. You've got the Madlanga Commission here exposing how the government is basically leaking bucket held together with cable ties. All right. Now, in the streets, this part of the map, women protesting in purple because society failed them. And then this part of the map, you have the economy. Currency is dancing like it's auditioning for a telenovela. And then you have here, SOEs, collapse, collapse, and collapse. That's all I can say for that. And then you've got the G20, the big powers not even showing up. So that's the map. And in all this chaos, Ramaphosa says we will not be bullied. Does that make sense? You want to know what the rest of the world heard? We will not be bullied because we're already collapsing in our own terms, thank you. Somebody help us. It sounded insecure. It sounded narcissistic. It sounded defensive. It sounded like a nation trying to posture instead of perform. Trump's boycott exposed the fragility of South Africa's foreign policy. Here's the brutal truth no one wants to mention. South Africa was not ready for the weight of global diplomatic pressure. Donald Trump's absence exposed that instantly. Because if one foreign president skipping your summit can shake your confidence this deeply, then you never had a stable foreign policy to begin with. A strong foreign policy adapts instantly, stays calm, strategizes, maintains dignity, responds with measured neutrality. And Cyril Ramaphosa, your favorite president, did the exact opposite. He took it personally, like a direct attack at him. He inflated it politically. He turned a diplomatic decision into a melodrama. This wasn't sovereignty. This was nothing but insecurity disguised as courage. The bottom line is that South Africa looked desperate for approval. Ramaphosa's speech carried a tone that basically said, please don't think we rely on the US. We're all totally fine. Look, we're strong, see? We can talk tough. But here's the thing. When you constantly insist you don't care, you look like you care very, very deeply, like an ex. His whole energy last night was, I'm not crying, you're crying. Leaders like Xi Jinping, Modi, and Sunak don't say we won't be bullied. Why? Why don't they say that? Because nobody tries to bully them. South Africa, on the other hand, looks like the kid practicing a tough speech in the mirror while hoping the bigger kids stop teasing him at break time. The distraction problem here was that Ramaphosa's speeches are always bold when the reality is nothing but bleak. Have you noticed the pattern? He's done this all this time, ever since he became president. Every time things get rough at home, even during COVID, Ramaphosa suddenly becomes very, very brave internationally. But at home, load shedding will worsen, and then he's going to go and lecture Europe about it, and then they'll give him 11 billion euros. Corruption scandals will erupt. He's going to go and scold the UN, and they're going to clap for him. State commissions expose rot. He's going to warn the global bullies like the USA. The women protest for oppression. He declares GPV a national crisis, and then you'll all forget about it. Give it like 5 days. It's unintentional comedy. He becomes fearless only when the audience is foreign. Back at home, he is tranquil, he is calm, and he is slowly blinking through crises like a meditating tortoise. The purple protest also exposes the gap between his speech and the reality. The most painful part of all of this, strip away all the politics, South African women are marching in purple today. Not for fun, not for Instagram, not for symbolism alone, but because they feel ignored, they feel unsafe, they feel unheard, they feel unprotected, they feel minimized, and they feel pushed to the edges of society. While they were raising their voices, the president was talking about how it's a national crisis now, talking about how nations must not bully each other. I remember seeing all the female influencers posting that small clip of Ramaphosa saying it's now a national crisis. The whole GBV thing is now a national crisis. And I looked at it and I said, okay, but where's the part where people can actually cheer for? Where's the part people can actually cheer? Where's the part people can cheer for? Because he said this years ago. Didn't he say gender-based violence was economic state of emergency some years ago? Didn't he say he's officially saying there is a femicide in South Africa some years ago? Did anything get better? You tell me. Ramaphosa didn't strengthen South African women or South Africa. He exposed us all. Ramaphosa's G20 performance was not strength. It was nothing but a defensive, insecure, poorly timed, misaligned with reality attempt, diplomatically clumsy, and unintentionally comedic attempt to silence everybody. To silence Trump and other countries, even though they saved themselves from the awareness of standing next to a host nation, struggling under the weight of its own internal crises. And South Africa, once again, left the global stage, not with respect, but with raised eyebrows, if you smell what the G20 is cooking. You can't shout no bullying when your whole society is burning, while the women are marching in purple because nobody gives a damn about them, while the commissions are exposing rot, while our youth is unemployed, while institutions crumble, while citizens feel bullied by their own state. Ramaphosa wanted a heroic moment, and he got cowardice as an answer. Instead of an heroic moment, he created a meme, just like he always does.